It's Mrs. Beggs. Today I am going to be reading with you. Part of our distance learning for today, for fourth grade anyway, is we are supposed to be reading two different books and practicing comparing and contrasting those two books. To compare two things or two books, you are finding similarities or ways they are the same. When we contrast two things, you are finding their differences. So we are going to be reading just the basic story, The Three Little Pigs, and then we are going to read the true story of the Three Little Pigs, and we're going to practice comparing and contrasting those two books using a Venn diagram. So we're going to go ahead and get started now with the story of just the Three Little Pigs. Let me share my screen. All right, The Three Little Pigs. This is a story that's retold by Kath Jewett. Once upon a time, there were three little pigs who lived in a cozy cottage on the hill. They loved to eat all the delicious food their mother made them every day. They ate so much that it wasn't long before the three little pigs had grown so big that there was no room for them in the cozy cottage anymore. "I'm sorry," said their mother one morning, "but it's time you made your own way in the world." So the very next day, the three little pigs left home. "Don't forget to watch out for the big bad wolf," called their mother as she waved goodbye. "He'll eat you for supper, so you'll need to build a big, fine, strong house as quickly as you can to keep him away." "Don't worry, Ma," they oinked. "We can look after ourselves." And the three little pigs trotted off down the hill, each taking a different path. It wasn't long before the first little pig met a farmer pulling a cart filled with straw. "Please, may I buy some straw to build a house?" asked the little pig. "Well, of course," replied the farmer, "but a straw house won't be very strong." But the little pig didn't listen. Soon he was busy stacking the bundles of straw for his new house. In no time at all, the house of straw was finished, and the little pig went inside for a nap. He had just shut his eyes when there was a knock at the door. It was the big bad wolf, and he was hungry. Little pig, let me in," growled the wolf. "No," cried the little pig, "not by the hair on my chinny chin chin." "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," laughed the wolf. And that's just what he did. Huff, puff, whoosh. Meanwhile, the second little pig was walking along the road when he saw a woodcutter piling up sticks. "Please, may I buy some sticks?" he asked politely. "I want to build a house." "Of course," answered the woodcutter, "but a house made of sticks will soon fall down." But the second little pig wasn't listening. He was much too busy planning his new stick home. Soon the house was finished. The little pig had just sat down to rest when there was a knock at the door. It was the big bad wolf. He was even hungrier now. Little pig, let me in," he growled. "No way, not by the hair on my chinny chin chin," cried the second little pig. "Then I'll huff and I'll puff "And I'll blow your house down," cried the wolf. And that's exactly what he did. Huff, puff, whoosh. Meanwhile, the third little pig had met a builder. "Please, may I buy some of your bricks to build my house?" he asked. "Of course," replied the builder. "A fine, strong house of bricks will last forever." The third little pig took the builder's advice. He would build the strongest house in the land. Finally, after a hard day's work, the house was finished. It had 4 strong walls of brick, a tiled roof, a sturdy wooden door, and a large fireplace with a chimney. The third little pig had just put a pot of turnips on the fire to boil when he saw his brothers running down the road, closely followed by the big bad wolf. "Quick!" cried the third little pig. "Hide in here!" The wolf, who was very hungry by now, banged on the sturdy front door. Little pigs, let me in," he growled, his tummy rumbling very loudly with hunger. "No way! Not by the hairs on our chinny chin chins," cried the 3 little pigs. "Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down," laughed the wolf. So he huffed and he puffed and he puffed and he huffed, but the brick house stood firm. The wolf was furious. He climbed up onto the roof and shouted down the chimney, "If I can't blow your house down, I'll come down the chimney and gobble you all up." The big bad wolf jumped and landed with a huge splash in the pot of turnips boiling on the fire below. "Eow!" He leaped up with a scream and ran out of the house, never to be seen again. And the 3 little pigs lived happily ever after in the house made of bricks. The end. Now we're going to go to the second book, and this one is called The True Story of the 3 Little Pigs. And this is told by John Ciesielka, maybe? All right, here we go. Everybody knows the story of the 3 little pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. This is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig. And he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into somebody else's house, so I called, "Little pig, little pig, are you in?" No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed a great sneeze. And you know what? The whole darn straw house fell down, and right in the middle of the pile of straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house of sticks. I rang the bell on the stick house. Nobody answered. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, wolf, you can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin chin." I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was the second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now, you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open, so I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was just getting awfully full. But my cold was feeling a little better, and I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake, so I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house. No answer. I called, "Mr. Pig, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what the rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, wolf. Don't bother me again." Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup for my dear sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday card instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course, I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The rest, as they say, is history. The news reporters found out about the 2 pigs I had for dinner. They figured a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting, So they jazzed up the story with all of that huff and puff and blow your house down. And they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. The real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar. All right, guys. So now that we've read both stories, we are ready to compare and contrast the two. So I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to fill in a Venn diagram. All righty. Okay, so as you can see, I have begun filling in the Venn diagram, which is a graphic organizer that you see quite frequently when you are asked to compare and contrast two things. So on the left side, I have typed in the three little pigs. And then on the right side, I have typed in true story of the three little pigs. And so on the outside of the circles, you see where I typed in contrast. And again, to contrast two things, in this case, two stories, we are going to be telling how the two stories are different. Okay, and then in the center, where it says both, you will see the word compare. Okay, and we are going to write ways in which the two stories are alike. Again, comparing or to make a comparison means to show similarities. Okay, so our first contrast, or how the two stories are different, under the three little pigs side, I'm going to say that the wolf was portrayed as being bad, or, you know, we could even say evil. Okay, so the wolf was bad, or we could say he's evil. Okay, now this was not true in the story of the true story of the three little pigs. The wolf was not bad. Okay, he was misunderstood. So the wolf was not bad or evil. He was misunderstood. All right. Now, a second way that they are different, I would say, in the three little pig story, at the very beginning, the pigs got so large that they had to move out of their parents' house. Okay. Now, it was different in the true story, or the true story of the three little pigs, because the pigs were already living in the homes that they had built. They never left their parents' house. Okay, so that, oops, I went way out of there. Here, I'm gonna fix that. Okay, so again, contrasting, showing how they were different. In the Three Little Pigs, the wolf was portrayed as being bad or evil. He was the bad guy. Okay, but in the true story of the Three Little Pigs, the wolf was not portrayed as being bad. He was just being portrayed as misunderstood. Okay, and then the second difference or contrast was the pigs got so large that they had to move out of their parents' house in the Three Little Pigs. But in the true story of the Three Little Pigs, the pigs were already living in the homes that they had built at the beginning of the story. Okay, now we're going to go to the comparisons. And again, comparisons are showing how the two stories are alike or similar. So I would say the first comparison that I'm thinking of is that both stories had three pigs that built houses out of straw, wood, and brick. Okay, so both stories have pigs built houses out of straw, wood. Oh, I'm going over again. And bricks. A little space right there. Okay. So both stories had pigs that built houses out of straw, wood, and bricks. Okay, the next one that I would say is, just maybe the wolf couldn't blow down the brick house in either story. All right, so my challenge then for you would be to come up maybe with one more for each part of this Venn diagram. Whoops, the 3 ought to be up here. Okay, so we have 2 examples to kind of get you started on filling in the Venn diagram with comparisons and contrasts. So my challenge would be for you guys to come up with at least one more way that the 2 stories were different, and maybe 1 or 2 ways that they were the same, comparing. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the stories, and I hope you better understand how to compare and contrast 2 stories or 2 things. Hope you guys have a great day. I miss you terribly, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.